Okay, so what I was saying was try to just follow. You can make notes later. I will try to post the video of this class later. I am making a recording. Hopefully there are no issues with the recording, and I should be able to post it in the class portal. All of you have access to the class portal, um, so you can access it online once I post it. Now, today we're going to talk about HP QC ALM, which is this tool right here. What it is used for, those who are testers already should know by now, or if they don't, QCALM is software used for test management. Okay, for QC basically is used for test management. ALM is used for the application lifecycle management. QC is part of ALM. Okay, a brief quick history about QC. Originally there was a company called Mercury who developed this product, and even before QC was there, they had something called a test director, which basically eventually became a little bit bigger tool called QC. Eventually Hewlett Packard HP bought this company, and it became HP QC ALMs. And a lot of people get confused that there's no longer QC. That is incorrect. QC still exists. QC is still part of the HP product family, and it's basically now part of ALM. So when you go to their site or you search HPQC, and you can actually search HPQC, you should be able to go to HPC right here, the first link, HPQC. It's called Quality Center. All right, and ALM stands for Application Lifecycle Management. They are the same tool. The difference between QC and ALM is when you have an ALM versus QC setup. ALM has more things than QC, so technically QC is part of ALM. Okay, so once again, ALM has a little bit more stuff which you can do in the tool, and all of the functionality of QC is in there. So in fact, when you go and try and download a trial, what you will see is excuse me, and when you go here, what you will see is it says QC, but when you click on download and then when you go fill the form, uh, you know over here to download it, you see here, see it's built on the HP ALM platform. Okay, so HP QC is built on the industry leading HP ALM platform. So again, QC is part of ALM, and you can also see when you try to download it, it will probably it will show you, uh, actually let me just show you when you go download this, this is what will happen. All right, I'm just showing you really quick so you have an idea what I'm talking about, and I will of course show you in the tool also. Okay, so when you click continue, when you for the download, when you go here, okay, accept the agreement, and if at any time you have any issues, just type it in the chat window. I'm just gonna go ahead and put it in the bottom there so I can actually see it, or actually I'll open it from time to time. Okay, so when you try to download the demo, now see here, even the trial download says HP ALM QC. So QC exists, ALM exists, they are pretty much almost the same tool. The only thing is ALM has more functionality. Okay, so now that I have explained that, now let me go over a few more things, and I'm sure some of you have already tried to download this trial, and maybe tried to install it. Some of you may not have done it. If you have tried to install it, I will tell you from my experience from this latest trial, until 11.5 there were no issues in installing this on VMware Workstation. It used to work perfectly. The trial would install on VMware. In this version, it needs 8 GB, and unfortunately my system, the max, actually my system is 8 GB, but despite that, VMware won't allow me to create an 8 GB workstation machine, and QC wouldn't install on the VMware. So that's what happened with 12.5. Until 11.5 there was no issue. Okay, so if you're trying to do that, don't waste your time, it will not work. There are workarounds to install it in Windows. I'm using Windows 8.1. This is Windows 8.1. Windows 8.1 is not supported by QC, but there are ways to install it. It's a little bit tricky. I'm not going to go over how to install it in this class. It's a little bit too complicated for all of you, and I don't think that is part of your job description. So I'm not going to go into that. And also to bypass the memory and all the other stuff. So anyways, so I have installed the demo version, okay, for 12.5 for ALM. By the way, if you install only the QC, which if you go back here, now when you install, it gives you the option of installing the entire ALM package or QC by itself, okay, just quality center. Okay, let me just go back a little bit. Come on, okay, let me try. It's not even going back. Okay, let's go back here again. Products. So when you try to see the downloads, you will see that QC Community Edition is free. So you can have it for a longer time if you don't want to practice ALM, or if you install the ALM. See, this QC Community Edition is free, okay, up to 5 users. So you can get that. Right now, what we are using is we are using ALM. Okay, ALM doesn't have restrictions and has more stuff than QC. But if you just want to use the QC portion, which is the main modules, okay, this is what it is. Okay, most of the jobs today either ask for QC or ALM, as if we are only talking about test management suites. Okay, they do ask about a lot of other tools. Today we are only talking about QC and ALM. Okay, so let's move on. Let me close this here so we don't get any disturbance from there. All right, so basically once I've installed ALM in your system, you will always see an icon like this. Okay, this is the icon for application lifecycle management. If I right click on it, okay, right now I have the option of stop and start and exit. Start is disabled because it is already started. Okay, if for some reason you see like a slash bar here, okay, so basically like it is crossed out with a slash, and I think it's a red color slash, that means your ALM for some reason is not working properly. Okay, so that is one of the things which you might see. Okay, now in my system it's working properly. Okay, and QC and ALM, they are both browser based. Okay, so what happens with that is your QC access is always done from the browser. Okay, and this is the URL for the QC server installed on my system. Okay, now because QC is based on the client server configuration. Okay, so there is a server and there's a client. Okay, now some of you may not understand what client server is. I think we covered it in one of the classes. Some of you have access to the videos. You can go online and see client server, what it means. Okay, or go watch the videos and you will probably understand. In simple words, client server means that there is a server which is installed on a system. Okay, so this is my server which is installed on my system. Okay, it is there on the system. Okay, then there is some kind of a network. Okay, and then you have basically a client application, okay, or some kind of interface which basically allows you to connect to the server. Okay, so in our case, my server is installed on my system, okay, in my C drive. Okay, and of course all of you know what C drive is. We are all using hopefully Windows. So my server is installed on my C drive. Okay, now basically what we are doing is we are accessing QC server using the client. Okay, so client is what? Client is basically an application which is a browser based application. Okay, so This is the URL of that, okay, and this URL can be different in your environment. It depends on the company. So they will probably have a server address here. Now here, because my computer itself is acting as a provider of a network, so this is showing as a local host 8080. So it is when I'm only installing on one machine. When you have your QC sitting on some other machine, you will have the URL for that machine and the port number and the QC bin. So once I've clicked on that or typed that URL, okay, and let me do that again for you. Okay, so once I've done this, okay, so this is my URL. And 8080 is a very common HTTP port used for web servers. Okay, so QC bin, and then I click enter, and this is my application. So basically my client, okay, this is my client which is opening in the browser. Where is my server? On my machine. Okay, so hopefully you understand that. So it's a client server architecture. Now when this first opens, you get all these different options. Okay, so let's look at them one by one. Okay, you have your ALM desktop client, you have your lab management, you have your performance center, you have your site administration, you have your tools, and you have your readme. Okay, I will only cover the desktop client, the site administration, these two sections. And actually as a tester, mostly you just need the desktop client. But why I want to show you the site administration is because there are some positions where they want somebody who can administer the QC server and basically add the users and projects and so on. Okay, this is not the role of a QA technically, but I will just show you quickly what it means. Okay, all right, so let's look at the site administration. And I will show you this only once just for your knowledge. Okay, so it is loading right now. Okay, so I click on login. Okay, so because we are using the trial version right now, it is telling me that it will expire in about 26 days. Okay, it's a 30-day trial. All right, and it says some of the currently used license keys. So I believe the QC license key probably will not expire because community edition is free, but I'm not sure how the trial behaves on that. We'll find out at the end of 26 days. So basically this is your site administration. So what you see here is basically how this server is managed. Now again, this is not the role of QA. This is only for your informational purposes, how and what the project is set up. So basically over here you have your project management, you have your lab management, you can manage the users, the connections, the licenses for QC, the servers for QC, the database servers, site configuration, analysis, planning, and tracking. Okay, so really quickly, domains are nothing but they could be different businesses of a company, okay, or they could be different departments. Okay, over here we have, let's say, two different businesses. You could have different departments like accounting, you could have HR, you could have some other stuff. Okay, so domain could be like that, or you could have domains like oil and gas, healthcare, and so on. Okay, so depending on what kind of projects are there in the company, there will be different domains in the projects. Okay, and under each domain you will have projects. Okay, so you can have X number of projects. Okay, in this domain I have added, just for showing you, one project, and I've created two domains to show you. Okay, so I've added one project here, and I've added three different projects in this domain. Okay, so basically this is what I have done with all these options available here. Again, I'm not going to go into the detail of this. If you guys want to learn about this ever, we can go into that later in future. Okay, this is not part of this class. Okay, so we create the domains and the projects. Okay, and then of course over here I've added all the different users and so on. Okay, you have your lab management, okay, which has to do with lab management module. You have your site connections. Okay, you have your licenses. Licenses are nothing but QC works on a licensing model. Okay, it's a software. The company basically when they're selling this software, if it does, not everybody can use it. You have to have a license to be able to use it. You have to purchase the license. Okay, right now we have the trial licenses, so it is showing all the licenses we have right now. License for Performance Center, full license, which is basically the ALM, and we have the business components license. Okay, and it tells the expiration date and so on. Okay, you can do some other stuff here with the licenses. Then you have the servers. This is showing as the server. This is actually my computer. Okay, in your company, it will, in this module, it may show one or more servers which are available. Here are the database servers in the DB tab. Database servers are where your data is actually stored. Okay, now this QC ALM implementation on my machine is running on SQL Server. Okay, actually it's running on a SQL Server Express database. Ideally, you could have some other kind of database. You could have SQL Server, you could have an Oracle database, or so on. Okay, you could also have other databases, okay, which can be used. All right. Then you have your settings for the site, your site analysis, and your project planning. Okay, so that's it for here. I'm going to log out of this. Okay, now we're going to go into the main thing, which is what actually a test analyst does, or a business analyst does. Okay, now as far as test analyst is concerned, um, this helps in doing all your tracking for your testing, and you could be doing all different kinds of testing. Okay, and as far as a business analyst is concerned, more than, and of course this also kind of applies to the QAs, that if you're doing user acceptance testing, okay, business analysts mostly end up doing user acceptance testing, and QAs also a lot of times do user acceptance testing, or UAT. Okay, so basically this will help in your test management for your testing process. Okay, by the way, I forgot to mention this client for QC ALM will not work on Mozilla Firefox latest edition. If I try doing that, it will give me an error. Okay, I haven't checked if it works on other browsers. It used to, the older versions used to work with a plugin which you had to download, but right now it won't work. It will say, okay, actually it is working now for some reason. It wasn't working yesterday. Okay, all right. All right. So, anyways, so ALM desktop client. Okay, it is working good. Yeah, no, it's not working. See, you are using an unsupported browser. That's what happens in Mozilla Firefox. So, if you try to use it in Mozilla Firefox, this is what will happen. It will say it cannot work, even though it opens the URL. Okay, it opens the server, but when you try to click on the links, it basically shows that it's unsupported browser. You might be able to still run it, uh, and the one way to do it is to run your browser in compatibility mode, and I believe you can do that from the developer tab. um, I don't remember, but basically what you have to do, that there is an option in Firefox, you can Google it where to find it, on how to run your Mozilla Firefox, whatever version it is, in an older version mode, basically in a compatibility mode. Okay, that is what it is called. Okay, now you can figure that out on your own. That's not actually I'm just telling you extra stuff right now. Okay, anyways, so going here, I have created logins for all of you. Okay, so if you want, in on the weekend, I can give you access to this to practice, remote access. Okay, Saturday and Sunday, and if we are going to do that, then we will have to set up times for everybody. Okay, now right now I'm going to log in through my access. Okay, so basically anytime when I log into ALM or QC, okay, I have to put the username and password. Okay, the next thing is automatically log in to my last domain and project on this machine. Okay, there's a checkbox here. Now what I can do is click on this checkbox. What will happen is next time it will automatically, once I put the password, automatically log me in into whatever last project I was working on. Okay, right now I'm not doing that. So I click on authenticate. Right now these options are disabled. I cannot do anything. Okay, so once I click on authenticate, Now these two options are enabled, the domain and the project. And like I said, there may be multiple domains. I right now have 3 domains. I have the default, I have 2 different domains added for the company. Okay, and under each domain I have different projects. Okay, so in the default I've said, okay, I have one project which is called Mercury Tours demo. Okay, and Mercury Tours demo can be accessed online. um, Mercury Tours demo online. Uh, there's a link which should be there, or I can actually send you the link. It's in my Word file. I'll show you the link. Anyways, so you have that, and that will be your dummy project if you want to practice. Okay. Then in this domain, I have added this e-commerce store. Okay, that is also there. Okay, this is our own dummy store we have created. Okay. Wait, it's store dot ingredients. Okay, so this is a dummy e-commerce store which we have created. Again, this is for practice. It's loading. Okay, so dummy e-commerce store. All right. Then in this other one, I have added the project's Gmail, where you can maybe do tests or test cases for your Gmail. Of course, this is our class portal, and then there is a tool, Orange HRM online. Okay, you can Google it, Orange HRM. Okay, and you can get a trial over there, and you can do the testing over there also. Okay, so you have 3-4 different projects here which you can work on to practice. Okay, now let's say we start with one project. Okay, any one project, let's say the e-commerce store, for example. Okay, so I'm logging into that project. I've selected that. Okay, and it takes a little bit of time because this client is accessing the server installed on my machine. Okay, so it is accessing that. Okay, and then it loads all the stuff in the browser. Okay, so we'll just wait for it to load. And because my machine is only 8 GB, and uh, actually the ALM package needs a minimum of 8 GB, it's going to run a little bit slow on my machine. Ideally you should have probably 16 or more GB, and maybe Windows Server 2008 or 2012 or something like that to install QC. Okay, so basically now we have logged in to ALM. So this is what it looks like. Okay, now right, I've put some very minimal data just to show you how things work and how data will start looking at. Okay, and let me actually show you a blank project also before I actually do that. Let's look at a blank project right now first. It's gonna take some time to load. Let me in the meanwhile try to get the link for Mercury Tours. Okay, I'm getting the link for Mercury Tours. Just give me 1 second. My system. Okay, there it is. Yeah, I've just give me 1 second. I'm resharing my screen. Okay, so I hope you can see my screen. I had paused it temporarily. Okay, I was pulling the link for the Mercury Tours demo. There you go. So I've copied it from my Word file which I have saved. Anyways, so this is basically the demo application. Okay, basically it's a flight booking thing. Which used to come with the old versions of QC. Earlier, it used to come as a standalone desktop application. What HP has done away with is they have stopped bundling this application with the trial software as a demo application, and now the only way to use this demo application is go online and use it. Okay, and I do have a I think a business case study for this which I can share with you, all of you, via the class portal, so you can read that case study also, and plus you can get a feel for this site also. Okay, and then you can think of all the different test cases and everything for this tool as well. So you basically have four different projects here which you can work on as examples. Okay, if you'd like to work on this over the weekend. Now going back to HP. Now like I said, let me first open the empty project. Okay, so basically in the default domain, if you can see here, okay, I have created a project called Mercury Tours demo. Now originally there used to be, in the old versions of trials of HPQC, there would be already data in here and QC would fill in. Unfortunately they don't do that anymore, which is very bad, especially for newbies like who are trying to learn this tool. But that's okay, no problem. Anyways, we have created this. This is a blank empty project right now. Okay, if you see any of these are all the different modules there are. Okay, now those of you who've already studied QC or ALM, or have had at least some knowledge, this is and in the older versions also, especially like QC9 for example, you used to have the requirements module, you used to have the test module, which used to have, actually you used to have test plan and test lab module and defects module. Okay, so you had 1, 2, 3 and 4 main modules in QC. Okay, what has happened in the newer version, they have combined the test plan and test lab modules and the business component module in the testing module. Okay, so right now there are main modules in ALM are what? Dashboard, management, requirements, testing and defects. Okay, so you have these 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 main modules. All right. Okay, now each of these modules has components inside it. For example, in the dashboard you have the analysis view and the dashboard view. In the management you have releases and libraries. In the requirements you have requirements and business models. In the testing you have test resources, business components, test plan, test lab, test runs, and defects module is that's it. You just log in your defects in this module. Now some of you already know what test cases are, test plan is, what happens when you run a test and pass, fail and all that stuff. So all of that stuff, at least most of you until now knew how to manage it in Excel. Maybe you know how to do it in the old version of QC. This is the new version. Okay, so right now this is a blank project. Okay, so if you click on anything, for example test plan, okay, there's nothing. If you click on test lab, there's nothing. If you click on test runs, there's nothing. If you click on defects, there's nothing. Okay, so this is what I have done. This is a blank project right now. And if you decide to work practice over the weekend, all of you in different slots, you can start working on your own test cases and test plan and everything on any of these projects and start adding the stuff into the project over here. Okay, now I'm gonna go ahead and show you the other project where I've added some stuff. Okay, so I've added some stuff in the e-commerce store. Okay, so if you see here now, I've added some stuff in the requirements. Okay, it's not blank. I've added some stuff here. Okay, I've added some stuff in the test plan. Okay, I've added some stuff. Test lab. Okay, I haven't run any tests yet, so this one is blank. Once I run the test, you will start seeing stuff. And I've added one defect here, just one. Okay, all right. Now, so basically, once you start adding, you will start seeing the stuff. Okay, so that's just the basics of it as of right now. Now, let's start looking at things. Okay, so let's look at the dashboard. Okay, so this is your analysis view. Okay, this is where you can do the analysis. Okay, so you have your analysis view and analysis menus. Okay, so right now I will quickly try to go over all the different functionalities which are there in the different modules. Okay, so in the analysis view, you have analysis, you have edit, you have view. So pretty much anytime you see this is more or less like what you see like in any application, like your file menu. Okay, so like how you have your file menu, it is something similar. So basically this is nothing but a menu. Okay, then you have your toolbar. Okay, then you have your tree here with all the different items. Okay, and then you have your details and your description. Okay, on the bottom on the right side. Okay, now in the analysis, if you see, you have a bunch of different options like generate new folder, graph wizard, new business view graph, new business view Excel report, new project report, new release analysis. Okay, and bunch of different stuff. So basically what you can understand from this is this portion is used for doing analysis and reporting. Okay, all right. Then you have your standard edit menu with cut, copy, paste, and so on. Okay, and then you can change your view settings like expand, collapse, and refresh, and so on. Okay, all of the functions which are available in the menu will also be, some of them, the important ones, will be also available on the toolbar. Okay, now analysis menus. So these are the different analysis menus available to you. Okay, requirements analysis menu. Okay, you have all these different pre created menus for you. Okay, test plan analysis menu. Okay, test set analysis menu, test runs analysis menu, business components analysis menu, defect analysis menu. Okay, so you can create your reports using some of these different things. Okay, all right. Now let's look at the dashboard view. Dashboard view, again, you can create a dashboard for yourself. Okay, again you have your menu bar over here with all the different options, and then you have your toolbar. Okay, in the dashboard you have generate, new folder, new page, you have edit, you have view. Okay, and you have all these different options. Okay, all right. Now management tab has releases. Okay, now some of you may already know what releases are. If you don't know what releases are, and in the QA class I ask everyone to, and in the BA class also, what you should know is what releases are, what versions are, what builds are. Okay, you should understand those. Okay, release is nothing but basically a software release. Okay, so that's what it is. Okay, so you could have different software releases during the lifetime of the software development process. Okay, in the SDLC process, right? So over here I've already added 3 releases. You could have more releases. Okay, and each release can be added in there. Okay, and could have its own date and so on. Okay, and I'll show you how to add all this stuff. Right now I'm just showing you what is there and what is not there. Okay, so again you have your menu. Okay, with release, milestone, cycle, reschedule, and so on, edit menu, view menu, and so on, and you have your toolbar. Okay, then you have your libraries under management, where you can store your stuff. Okay, whatever documents or whatever project related stuff you want to store, you could have it in the libraries. Okay, for the management process. Okay, library also has the same way a menu bar and a toolbar. Okay, and you can explore all the different options. Okay, then you have your requirements module, where you have requirements. Okay, now the requirements module deals with the requirements. Okay, now this is kind of where now we are starting to look more on the testing and the maybe the BA side as well. Okay, now in requirements module, what you do is you have all your requirements listed. They could be software requirements, they could be environmental requirements or system requirements and so on. Okay, so you can have different types of requirements. I've already created some folders here. Okay, and you could have different kind of requirements. So all the requirements need to be added to the system. Why? Because if you don't have requirements, you don't know what you're going to test, right? What is the purpose of testing? You're testing because you want to make sure that your requirements are being met, right? I hope all of you understand that by now, having done a few classes. Uh, so the testing is done because you have certain requirements. So you have to make sure that those requirements are being met satisfactorily and correctly. Okay. So in the requirements module, you will have all the requirements, and again here also you have your requirements menu and your toolbar. Okay. Then you have your business models. Okay, in business models you can add again from this whatever business models you have. Okay, and create your business models. All right, right now I haven't added anything. In the testing module, you have your test resources panel. Okay, in the test resources you can add whatever resources are there which you need for the testing purpose. Okay, you may have maybe test strategy document or some other documents or whatever. Okay, so you could probably put those things in here. Okay, so it is better to have everything in one place, right? That's the good aspect of using these tools which help in your test management. Okay, then you have your business components module. Okay, wherein you can add whatever the business components you have. Okay, then you have your test plan module. This is where you will put your test plan, and then you will put your test cases and so on. Okay, then this is your test lab. Okay, where you can create your test sets. Okay, which test sets you will run. Okay, and you can also run the tests from here. Okay, now again I will reiterate, QC is not basically a test automation tool. Okay, it is a test management suite. It assists in the process of, it facilitates the process of testing. Yes, it is a testing tool, but it is not a test automation tool. For automation, depending on what kind of automation and what platform you are using, you may be using UFT or QTP, or UFT is a newer version of QTP, or you may be using load runner or something else. Okay, so you're not automating your tests with QC. You're only using test QC as a testing tool, as a test management tool. Okay, as an application, or you're using ALM as an application lifecycle management. Okay, the life cycle of the application. All right, and then in test runs, you have all of your test runs will be listed out here. Okay, and then finally, if you find any defects, now obviously you have to report the defects somewhere, so you will report the defects in this module. Okay, and again it has the same exact stuff. You have the file menu, you have the toolbar, and then you have your lists and stuff, and then you have your other stuff related to it. Okay, now let's see how we can add some stuff. Okay, now let's start doing one thing. Okay, let me log out of this project now. Okay, and let's choose any one project. Okay, so any of you want to suggest which project you want to work on? You can type it in the chat window, or I will recommend one project. Or you can do more than one also, that's fine, doesn't matter. I'm just waiting for somebody to suggest some project. I hope you all are awake, you all haven't slept yet. Okay, looks like everybody's just waiting for me or someone else to respond. So okay, I'll assign. Okay, let's do the same project then. In that case, let's just keep on doing what we were doing. Okay, so let's keep on doing the e-commerce store. Okay, for now. Yes. Yes. Who is this? Nixon. Nick. Yeah. Okay. I can. You're breaking out. I think you have a very bad connection. Um, I cannot hear you at all. You're cutting out. Yeah. Just type in the chat box whatever you want to say. Oh, it's not working. What you can try and do is okay. Well, anyways, which project you want to work on? I am unable to hear you clearly. Can you say that again? Can you turn off whatever music is in the background? Yeah, that's better. Okay, I think I lost you. Hello? Okay. Looks like I've lost the audio from their end. Okay. Anyways, so we are doing the e-commerce project, and so this is what it is. Um, so let's just say we want to add a requirement. Okay. So we go to the requirements tab. Okay, and if anybody has any issues with the connection, tell me now before I continue, so that nobody's missing out. On this. If everybody is able to still hear me, you can type in the chat window, or you can just unmute yourself and speak. Khalida, Nixon, Nick. Okay, Khalida can hear me. Nick and Nixon. Okay, Nick can hear me. Okay, what about Nixon? Can you hear me? Okay, I think he cannot hear me. Maybe, I'm not sure. Okay, anyways, I'll try to continue anyways, and I'll post this video later. Okay, so hopefully you can hear me, Nixon. So I'll continue here. Uh, and the chat window, you have to click on it, one or two times, it just shows up. Anyways, so we're looking at this e-commerce project. Okay, so anyways, we'll just put some random rough requirement for now. Okay, so just to show you how to add stuff. Okay, so when I go into requirements, in the requirements module, okay, now in the menu I have all the different options. Okay, I have like requirement details, I have new folder, I have new requirement, I have go to requirement, and so on. Okay, so all of these are different options. Then I have the edit, where I have cut, copy, paste, delete, rename, find, replace, etc. Okay, and then I have views, versions, etc., analysis, and so on. Okay, so what we'll do here is we'll go to, let's say, functional requirements. Okay, all right, so we are in that folder. Okay, let me actually show you how to add the folder first. Okay, so to add the folder, you can either click on the folder button, or you can either go here and click on new folder. Okay, so I've already done this for you all just to show you, but I will do it here again. So new folder. Okay, and let's say requirements dummy folder. I'm just creating this so that you understand what I'm doing. Okay, so requirements folder, and I'm saying dummy folder, and I'm clicking on OK. Once I click on OK, it is created. Okay, now actually that got created as a child requirement. Let me move it back here. Now in fact, that's a good thing. I can tell you about child and parent requirements. Okay, now pretty much all our requirements are being created here. Okay, in the requirements folder. Okay, and I have created different folders. Now let me delete this folder again and recreate it. Okay, so to create a folder, I have to be in the folder where I want to create first of all. Okay, so requirements, or let me just keep it simple, dummy parent. Okay, I'll call it parent for now, and I'll explain you why. Okay, dummy parent. So I'm just creating a requirement folder called dummy parent. Okay, So I've created a folder dummy parent. Okay, one thing you will see is by default automatically it created a requirement ID here, number 7 by default. It is always unique and it will automatically get added. Okay, alright, now I've created dummy parent. Now if I had to create a child folder, okay, I just have to be in this folder, okay, not in that folder up there in requirements, in this folder, and click this folder button again, or click on requirements new folder again, okay, and then I can create another folder called child. Okay, so dummy child, and if you see when I click OK, now this folder is actually become a child of the parent folder. Okay, so I hope parent child relationship everybody understands. If not, you can google parent child relationship in software, and this is what it is. Okay, there's a parent and there's a child. Okay, now you can obviously, if you created it incorrectly, you can move it to there. Okay, by just clicking and dragging and dropping over there, and click yes, and it will move to the other folder and it will itself become parent. You can do other options like rename, cut, copy, etc. from here. Okay, I hope all of you know those standard basic options, so we're not really going to go into that. This is the advantage of using tools like this, is because in cases like this, if I wanted to do something like copy, okay, and then you can paste. Okay, so this is the advantage of some of these tools. You can do cut, copy, paste, and so on. All right. Okay, now so we have created the dummy folder. Okay, now how about creating some requirement in it? Okay, so let's say a requirement. So we go to, let's say, dummy parent, and I'll just create this folder back again. Okay, and I'll make this a child. Okay, so I moved it back as a child. Okay, now let's say I want to create a requirement here. Okay, so how do I create a requirement? I can go here, requirements, new requirement. Okay, and if you see on the right, there are also shortcut buttons where you can directly do these tasks, okay, by using the shortcut. Okay, so 3 different ways of doing the same action can be either by clicking here, by pressing the shortcut button, or by clicking this button here which says new requirement. Okay, and here also you will see the shortcut is listed, so I click there. Okay, so a new requirement window has opened. So basically what do you see in this? Okay, at the top, a close button to reset. Okay, a spell check button, a thesaurus. Okay, I hope all of you know what a thesaurus is. Spelling options, and you have field search options. Okay, so these options are at the top. At the bottom, you have submit, close, help. Okay, now within this requirement window, all of this stuff is available for you. Okay, so you have to give the requirement some name. Now let's say I have a requirement. Let's say user should be able to see products. Okay, let's say I want to add this requirements on home page. Okay, or I should say maybe new products. Okay, so as an e-commerce website, they would want their customers to see the whatever new products have been added on the home page, right? How will they know there are new products, right? So every company wants that, right? So that could be a business requirement, right? So what you can do is any requirement you create, always try and make sure that you give it a name which is easily understandable. Okay, so let's say I gave it that name. Okay, now you can name it like requirement 1 2 3 4 whatever, but that doesn't really tell me anything, does it? So it is always good to name it what it is. Okay, so or you can call it new product display on home page. Okay, keep it short, new product display on home page. Requirement type. Okay, now you can choose what kind of requirement there is. Okay, so you have bunch of different options. Okay, whether it is a folder, group, functional requirement, whether it's a business requirement, whether it's a performance requirement, testing requirement, or so on. Okay, so you can specify the type of requirement. Okay, let's say it's a business requirement. Okay, so if you see, now you have all these different options and some become disabled. Okay, Now based on which option you choose, some options may become active and some options may become disabled. So like I did testing, then some of these options changed and some options are disabled. Okay, so depending on whatever requirement type you have, this will change. Okay, now so you have business requirement, let's say. Okay, so who's the author? Okay, now you can choose the author. Okay, you click here and all the different users names are there. Okay, so you can choose whichever is the author. Okay, let's say this requirement was authored by Khalida. Okay, so you select that name and click OK. All right, then the creation date. Okay, let's say today. All right, creation time, right now it's 4:30 p.m. Okay, so you can put the time. Okay, now priority. Now by default in the system we have these priorities. Okay, and you could set your priorities in a different way. Right now it's a little bit complicated for me to explain how you can change the scale and add more priorities, but these are the default preset priorities in QC and ALM. Okay, so you have 1 low, 2 medium, 3 high, 4 very high, 5 urgent. What is priority? Now in simple words, in everyday life, okay, you have, let's say, 5 tasks. Okay, now out of those 5 tasks, obviously not all of them are equally important, right? Very unlikely in most cases that all those 5 tasks are equally important, right? Maybe one task will be extremely urgent and very important. Maybe one task will be not so important and not so important. Some may be mid-level, right? So as a BA or as a QA, you always have to assign the priority to your items. Okay, whether it is a requirement or whether it is a bug or so on, right? So the priority helps in determining how important it is. So you use the right priority. So let's say this is a very high priority. Okay, so you put it as very high. Okay, so 4. All right, so which product? Right now the product is not listed because I have not added it in here, but once we add it in the ALM, then you will see the product and you can select which product it applies to. Okay, then you can click on reviewed, whether this business requirement was reviewed or not. Right now it is not reviewed. Okay, then target cycle. Right now you have these options in the releases which have been added: release 1, release 1.1, release 1.2. Okay, so let's say this is going to be in release 1 in build 1 2 3 4. Okay, so we are going to add it there. All right, okay, then you have your target release, and that's what it should. You can again select your target release. Okay, so this is your target release. Okay, version number is blanked out. Okay, then your description, so you can write the description here. Now description is nothing but simple text, so you can simply write whatever the description is in plain simple English. Okay, and if any technical terminology has to be used, please use it. Okay, so um, when customer opens the site, they should be able to see the new products on the home, newly added products. Okay, on the home page. Okay, so that's just the simple requirements. Okay, and you have all the different formatting options. I hope all of you have used Microsoft Word. Okay, at some point in your life, you probably still do. You have all the different options like bold, italics, underline, and so on, so on. Okay, so I'm not going to try and explain to you all these different options. These are very simple. You should know them by now. If you don't, please play with Word. Okay, you will be using, as an analyst, any kind of IT analyst, you will be using a lot of Word. You will be using probably to some level Excel, maybe PowerPoint. Okay, PowerPoint not necessarily, but a lot of times, especially you have to make presentations as a BA or QA, then you will need to know PowerPoint. Okay, you should also know Outlook. Okay, all right, so basically I've added all the stuff. Okay, and then I have other options like rich text. Okay, rich text is nothing but a little bit more detailed, like a template wherein I can type my stuff. Okay, it's more or less like a word embedded in this window. Okay, and in the attachments you can attach anything which is relevant to this requirement. Okay, so what kind of attachments you can make in QC or ALM? Okay, there are different attachments. Okay, you can attach a file. Okay, you can attach a URL. Okay, you can attach a picture or a snapshot. You can attach system information. You can attach your clipboard. Okay, and you can open the attachments or delete them, and you can also refresh this attachment window. Okay, so if you want to attach a file, you click on the attachment. Okay, and let's say okay, so let's say some test strategy. Okay, I'm attaching it to that. Okay, so see, you have attached it. Once you attach it, your description becomes enabled and you can write a description. Okay, now I'm just attaching this as an example. This is not everything is related right now. This is just to show you how the tool works. In reality, you only attach the stuff which is related to your stuff. Okay, same way you can attach a URL. Okay, so maybe http colon slash slash I'm just putting the URL of the portal. Okay, so see that attachment URL is also attached. Okay, same way you can attach a snapshot. You can attach system information. System information is what? The current information about the system. Okay, so what is the system? Okay, the machine information, the CPU, the memory, the display, and so on. Okay, so all of these things can also be attached. Okay, now this is not maybe not so necessary in the requirements thing. The system information will probably be more useful when you are actually doing the tests, and maybe the test cases pass or fail. That's where you will more than likely end up using this. Okay, anyways, so this is how you can do the attachments in the requirements tab and everything, and the same way you will have attachment options in other windows and everything. Okay, so now what we will do is at this point click on submit. Okay, you have the option of submit, close, or help, so we'll click on submit. All right, so it has been submitted. Okay, and it says requirement 9 was successfully created. It came here really quickly. I don't know if you saw it, and then went away, and the window remains open. Okay, so you can now close this. Okay, and if you see here now, this requirement has been created, new product display on homepage. That's what we called it, right? So uh, if you go and click on this, and it has automatically been named, given an ID 9. Okay, so you don't have to see, this is the beauty of using the tools like QC and ALM. They automatically do some of the tasks which you would otherwise be doing in Excel or some other method, maybe Word or whatever, manually. Okay, so it is automatically doing it for you. So okay, so let's open and see. So whatever we put in there is there. Okay, all the attachments are there and everything, and now when you open the requirement, you see a lot of different things which you didn't see earlier. Okay, so let me close this again and let me show you again. We created the requirement, it's there. Okay, you can open it. So, and you can check. Okay, so we created the requirement and all the information is there. See the name of the author, the time, the date, when it was last modified, the priority, the all the different information. Okay, and so on. Then you have your description and your comments. Okay, you can add comments or whatever. Okay, now over here, if we already went over the rich text attachments. Okay, so all the attachments are there. Now you have linked defects. Right now there are no defects because nothing has been linked to it. Requirements traceability. Okay, remember, some of you, if you remember requirements traceability, we talked about that. For every requirement, ideally there should be a test case, right? Especially for user acceptance testing, you definitely need your every requirement to have a test case so that you can make sure that all the requirements have been met, right? And likewise in other cases also, non-UAT cases also, pretty much what you are, the only reason why you're testing is you're testing some sort of requirement, right? Otherwise, why are you even testing? So you're basically making sure that every requirement has been met. Okay, so this will be where you will be tracing your requirement. Right now it's blank because we have not linked anything. Okay, then your test coverage will also be there. Again, we haven't linked anything yet, so you're not going to see anything in these different new sections which have been created in the requirement. Okay, and in history tab you will see the history of whatever work has been performed on that particular requirement by any user. Okay, so let's say if Nixon or Nick or Khalida, you log in and you make some changes here, so whatever you do will eventually be logged in here, okay, and be recorded with the date and timestamp, so that people can find out who and what and when changes were made. Okay, all right. Now on top over here you have some different options like save, first entity, previous entity, next, last, push pin, okay, flag, email, and spelling options. Okay, all right. So let's get out of this. Now let's say, so I've shown you how now we have created one requirement. Okay, now if you create another requirement, okay, and I'm just gonna call it dummy, and I'm just gonna click on submit. Okay, so requirement 10 was successfully added. Okay, close. So if you see what happened here is I created a child requirement. Why? Because I was here. Okay, so whenever you're creating a requirement, make sure you're in the correct place, because that's where under it your requirement will be created, or whatever you're adding, whether it is a test case or a test plan. So make sure you're in the correct folder, because QC tries to maintain this parent child relationship. Okay, so if I created this here by accident, of course I can always move it, okay, to wherever I need it. Okay, all right, so this requirement has gone from there. Okay, and this is a, if the suitcase represents the, that is a business case requirement. Okay, let's say uh, a functional requirement, we, or whatever this requirement related to that, we create another requirement. Okay, now I don't have to create a requirement for doing this, because I already mentioned that as a business requirement. Okay, but I'm just to show you that I can add a different type of requirement, and underneath that requirement I'm adding it as a child requirement. Okay, so okay, so we are doing that again, same process. Okay, I'm setting all the priorities and everything. Okay, and okay, this doesn't need to be a requirement, this is just an example for you right now. Okay, so I'm just gonna go ahead and click on close. Okay, oops, it didn't get created, sorry, let me do that again. Submit, so you have to submit. Okay, so 11 is created, then you can close. All right, okay, so now we have created that child requirement. Okay, and see now the symbol is different for business versus a test requirement. Okay, so I'm just trying to show you how the small differences you can make out in QC and ALM. Okay, all right, and if you see again, it has automatically numbered. Okay, and you see 11 before 10. Now why is 11 before 10? It doesn't matter. It is 11 because it was created after 10 was created, so automatically QC assigns the next available number for the requirement. Okay, so this does not mean that QC is crazy or mad that it's ordering in incorrect way. What it means is this was created after 10 was created, which is perfectly fine. Okay, it just gives the best next available unique number to the requirement, and over here you see automatically that it is not completed. Okay, and again if you open the requirement, you will be able to see all the different stuff. Okay, all right, now same way, like how we have just added the requirements, we can pretty much do additions in the test plan module. Okay, so we can create all the different folders. Okay, and then we can create the tests. Okay, so let's say we create a test. Okay, let's say user acceptance testing, we create a new test. Okay, and again, all the buttons and all the functionalities are here. If you have any questions, or if you think I'm going too fast, I'm not trying to go very simple step by step. I'm just trying to show you how things are done, so it is easier to understand. Okay, if you think I'm going too fast, tell me to slow down. Okay, all right. Now so we came to the test plan module. Okay, and let's say we are trying to create, I've already created this folders. You can create it using this new folder button or whatever. Okay, so let's say we want to create a test case now. So we'll create a test case, okay, by clicking here or going from here. Okay, so we basically create a test case. Okay, again, you have your main bar at the top, which gives some options. Okay, and then you have your test case related information. Okay, so what is the test name? Test home page for newly added products. Okay, now what kind of test case type it is? Manual. Okay, you have the option of manual. You have alternative scenario, you have business process, you have flow, you have load runner scenario. LR is load runner. You have QA inspect test, you have system test, you have API XP test. Now this list doesn't show some of the other options. Now if you have UFT in your system, it will show UFT. So in the next class, I will try to install the UFT demo, and I will show you that how the UFT will be visible here. So you can choose what kind of test. If it's an automation test, you choose the UFT option. Okay, or QTP option, whatever is available. Or if you want, you have the load runner scenario, so you can choose load runner. If it's a load runner, performance testing. So right now we'll just set it as manual test. Okay, because we're gonna do it manually. Okay, creation date, let's say today. Who created it? Let's say Nick created it. Okay, okay, now which stage is it in? Whether it is design stage, imported, ready, or repair. Okay, let's say design stage, and you just put the description. Okay, so this is a description of the test case. Okay, now you can write a real description that, okay, test, open the URL and whatever. Okay, so you can write all the test things. Okay, and you can do attachments. Okay, so I'm just gonna go ahead and click OK, and it will create my new test. Okay, so you see here now that my test case has been created. Okay, so I have now in this view, this is a little bit different view than the requirements view. If you remember, over here I can now see a lot of different things. Okay, all of the stuff which was there, which I could actually see by opening the requirements, is actually shown here. Okay, now this is the stuff I already added, right? And the description. Now over here there are some other tabs. Okay, and I hope you can see my mouse. Next to details, you have design steps, parameters, attachments, test configurations, requirements coverage, link defects, dependencies. Okay, business model linkage, and history. Okay, so history I already told you in the requirements phase, so you already know what is history. It shows whatever has been done with that particular item. Okay, so every time something happens, this will keep on updating. Okay, let's look at design steps. Oh, and also you have versions, baselines, and audit log. Okay, so let's look at the design steps. Okay, now we've written the test case, but what are the steps? Okay, what are the steps for this? Okay, so we need to write down step by step, right? The test case, right? Now I hope all of you know what a test case is. Test case is a bunch of steps which needed to be performed to do a certain action to do the test. Okay, so let's say to test this home page, what are the steps? You basically need to let's say open this URL. Okay, then maybe you need to see your new products, whether they are showing or not. Okay, then you basically, once all of your steps are done, you either pass or fail the test, right? But right now we haven't written the steps. So before you test, you need to write the steps somewhere, right? So here in the design steps, what you can do is write the steps. Okay, so you click on new step. Okay, and you can write the step. So open URL, let's say. And to make it easy, you can even do it here. Okay, or you can just do it like this also. So whatever you put, the more the better description you write in the name, the better it is and easier it is for you to understand. Okay, so I click on OK. Okay, so my step has come and the description has come. Okay, so I don't necessarily need to see everything here because all of this is also shown here. Okay, but I just showed you how to add this. Okay, and expected result we didn't add, so let's open this step again, edit step. Okay, what is the expected result, and we'll just keep it short. Okay, and you can keep it step 1 also, that is also fine. Okay, so expected result is what, uh, okay, so we have created the first step. Okay, same way you can add more steps. Okay, okay, uh, okay, so okay, so so we have created 2 steps. Okay, and basically normally ideally the best thing to do is not to have a test case more than 10 or 15 steps. Okay, so you can create your test steps here. Okay, now you have different things, different options here which you can do with this. Okay, you have your new step, you can edit the step, you can renumber your steps because maybe something messed up or whatever, you made some changes. You can delete your steps, okay, the selected steps. You can copy, you can paste, you can do attachments to each step. Okay, you can call to test, you can generate script. Okay, generate script helps in creating automation scripts for the test cases. Now again I will reiterate, QC does not automate the test by itself. It integrates with automation tools, for example UFT or load runner or something else, and it invokes or calls that application to run so that you can record or write a script or code for the automation script. Okay, so by doing this, if you see here, you have your option to invoke load runner. Okay, to create a load runner script. Okay, so if I click on that, it will basically call load run. If I click on, and right now UFT option is not shown because the demo is not installed on this machine. Um, but when I do have UFT installed, I will also be able to invoke UFT from this and generate that will automatically open UFT, and I will be able to generate a script for this test case by doing either a recording or maybe writing a code or script for it. Okay, and for those who don't know automation and for BAs, that's not required. Okay, all right, then you have other options like insert parameter, find text, you have select columns, you have adjust rows height, save, and so on. Okay, so you have all these different options in the design steps. Then you have parameters where you can mention the parameters which are used. Okay, maybe sometimes you might be working with data. Okay, so you have to see which parameter you're using, and you can basically add those parameters here. Okay, for example, you may be working, let's say username. Okay, So let's say you are working with that. Okay, so I've created a username, okay, parameter or whatever parameter. Parameters are nothing but basically some kind of variable information which may change, okay, and they may have some default value and so on, okay. That is the whole purpose. Then attachments, you can attach like we did in the requirements, same way in test case as well as test steps. You can attach whatever information needs to be attached. You have your test configurations where you can add whatever configuration needs to be added, okay. Right now I have a configuration here, okay. I can add a new test configuration to it, okay, by clicking on the plus sign, okay. So let's say if I click there, then I can add a configuration, okay. Requirements coverage. Now which requirement is this, okay. Now right now, even though I know there is a requirement which is there to test the home page, but it's not showing here. Now QC is not a magician, right? Or ALM is not a magician, it's not gonna know by itself. So how does it know that? You have to tell QC by linking the requirement to the test, right? So you click on select requirement and you open the requirements, and then you see which requirement is applicable. Okay, so let's say this requirement is valid for this particular test case. So I will click on this, okay, and then I will click on this arrow, add to coverage without children, okay, or I can add this and add to coverage including children, okay. So depending on where I'm in this, uh, it will change what it's showing me at the arrow, okay. So let's say I am adding this, add to coverage including children, okay, and you have bunch of different options. You can play with it when you do the practice, okay. Right now we are doing the main stuff, okay. So it asks me for a confirmation. Do you want to add the selected requirement and its children to the test coverage? Only requirements of types for which coverage is available and that match the current filter will be added, okay. So you can either click yes or no. So we click yes. So your requirement is now added, okay. All right, so this is your requirements coverage. Link defects, okay. Now right now we haven't run this test case, okay. Let's just assume that we run it, okay, eventually or whatever. Whenever we have a defect, we will put it in the defects module. Same way like we added some stuff here, we can add stuff in the defects module, and once we add it there, over there only we can directly link it. So when we link it over there, it will automatically show over here, okay, and I will show you in a little bit, okay. And I hope none of you have to go anywhere. It's almost 5 o'clock. I can probably continue for maybe another half an hour or maybe 15 minutes to give you a little bit more overview of the different things which the main task we are doing in QC ALM. Okay, anyways, so you can link the defects, you can put the dependencies, okay, and you can link the defects. You have all the different options here, okay, like add and link defect and so on, okay. You have your dependencies, you have your whatever, okay, all the stuff, okay. Now let's just say we have done all of this, okay, the basic stuff, okay. Link defects will come afterwards because we haven't run the test case yet, okay. Now what is the, excuse me, what is there in baselines? Nothing yet. Audit log, nothing yet, okay. This is your we haven't run it yet, right? Execution status, no run. The status is design, okay. So now this has been completed. Let's just say we've written the steps, okay. So if you want, you can edit this step, okay. Expected result you already have, okay. All right, so we can go now to here and change this status to ready, okay, and we are done, okay. So this is now in the ready mode, okay. Let me just not change it, let me leave it at Nick, okay. So I made it ready mode, Okay, so now we have this test case here. Okay, so let's go to the test lab. Okay, so in the test lab, okay, I can basically go to the root folder. Again, same way, create folders. Okay, so home, and I'm just showing you examples how you define your sets and how you define your test cases and everything. It's up to you. Always try to use your business documents or your requirements documents as a basis to structure and organize your information. Okay, so right now I'm just for simplicity's sake calling this folder homepage. Okay, and then in there we're gonna call a new test set. Okay, so we're gonna create a new test set. Okay, and we're just gonna call it simply home test homepage. Okay, you have type here. Okay, default. We right now don't have other types added. Those things can be added. How that is done is a different process. That's part of the administrator's job. Okay, all right, so details. Okay, so you choose your libraries or whatever. Okay, and then you add those things. You add your dates, your environment. Okay, right now we haven't added any environments or everything, so those things are not visible. In your company they will be visible. Okay, the status, whether it is closed or open. Okay, and so on. Okay, open date, etc, etc. Say okay. Okay, now I've created a test set. Okay, now why a test set? A test set a lot of times is often referred to as a test suite. Okay, in other tools. The idea behind a test set or a test suite is bunch of test cases which are related to each other. Okay, so basically it's a way of organizing, and plus at the same time when you're executing, you want to execute related test cases one by one in the order they are meant to be, or maybe together. Okay, whatever their relationship is. So basically related test cases come where in a test set or a test suite. Okay, so this is where we have created a test set here. Okay, now right now that this test set is empty. This is a tongue twister. Is empty, so we need to add some test cases to it, right? So how we will add test cases? On the right, if you see, you have the option to select the tests. Okay, so you can go and see. Now we added, so far we have only added one test case, so we can only add one. But if you had, let's say, 10 test cases, you can choose whichever test case belong to this test set, and you add these test cases to this particular test set. So we're gonna go ahead and click on this, and then we're gonna click on this arrow. Okay, and we can add it. Okay, you can also do it from the test plan tree or the requirements tree. Okay, so you have two different ways of adding the test cases. Okay, okay, so you can add it based on that. So we are adding it from the test plan tree, this uh, from here, and we click on that arrow and it has been added. Okay, so I can close this if I want. All right, so I've added this test case, and I can add more by selecting test and so on. Now I have some other option like run is for only one test case. Okay, then you have run test set. That means run the entire, all the test cases which are added to this particular test set. And then you have your option to remove test cases, filter, refresh, and some other options. Okay, email, flag, etc. All right. Okay, so now run. Again, we are saying run, but what does that mean? Does QC actually automatically run the test case? Yes and no. Okay, and don't confuse this with automating test cases. Okay, that is a different aspect of it. Okay, what run here means, or run test set here means, is you are running the test case, which means, let's say in case of manual testing, you are manually doing every step of that particular test case to do the tasks which are in the test steps. Okay, now if you remember that this particular test, okay, there were two steps we added, right? And that was just for simplicity's sake. Normally your test case will have 5, maybe 10, maybe 15 steps. Okay, so you manually go and run the test steps. Okay, so when you click on run, okay, your screen minimized. Okay, and what happened? it is saying manual run, test set, home page, test, test home page, whatever, and then begin run, end run, cancel run, attachments, new defect, and so on. Okay, those are the options available. Okay, again, this is what the beauty of it is. It is letting you put the attachments and the defects right where when you are testing the test case. Okay, so manual run. Okay, now I've opened this test. Okay, so this is showing all the description and everything and whatever the details are there. So we will click on, let's say, begin run. Okay, so you are about to run a checked out test. This test might still be in development. Do you want to continue? Yes. Now, of course, why it's saying is because, and let me click no, and let me close this. If you go to the test plan, okay, see, if you see here where my mouse is, okay, I hope you can see where my mouse, it's a black pointer. I hope you can locate it right here. I'm moving it. Okay, two tests are checked out by me. Okay, what does checkout and check-in mean? Now in the industry, what happens is, of course, you're not working in isolation, you're working as a team, right? So maybe there might be 5 testers, maybe there might be 200 testers, maybe 20 testers, or maybe one tester. Okay, then there may be a business analyst who may also be using QC ALM. Maybe a manager is also using it. Maybe a QL lead is also using it. So everybody is working in QC ALM at the same time, right? Everybody has the same working hours, 8 to 5, Monday to Friday, right? So let's say I am working on this, and at the same time, let's say Nick is working on this, I'm working on this, and Nick is also working on his machine, on his computer at the same time. Now what happens is whenever I take something out, okay, I'm working on something, it is checked out to me. Okay, that means it's kind of like a library. Now I hope all of you understand, I'm talking about a physical actual public library, for example, or a school university library, right? When you go there, you check out a book, right? It's checked out in your name, right? That means it is with you. You have access to it, and you will have access to it until it is checked out to you. Okay, now of course there is a deadline to it and whatever, and you need to return it, right? You have to bring it back in, right? But until you have it, it is checked out with you. So right now, same way, this test case is checked out with me, because if you see here, my two tests are checked out by Shekhar. Okay, it is written here. So what I need to do, I need to return it, right? So just like in the library, you have to return the book, right? Otherwise other people cannot use it, right? So you have to check it in. Now there is a possibility that, of course, in the library there may be other books which the same title and everything, and other people can find this similar book and check it out. Okay, so that is a possibility. But in normal cases, like especially in this project based, IT based, if you are checking out something, you could have rules, okay, wherein other people cannot work with something which has been checked out until it is checked back in. Or sometimes you may let multiple people work at the same time on checked out items. Why most of the time people don't want other people to work on items which have been checked out is because I may do something, Nick may do something, Nixon may do something, Khalida may do something, and all of us are working at the same time. So at the end of the day, what will happen if we all are working on the same checked out item? It will be a hodgepodge, right? No one will be on the same page. So it is always better to check out to one user at a time and let them check it back in, and then you start your work. Okay, so right now these test cases are checked out to me. So what I need to do is check in. Okay, so I need to click on this check in button. So basically return the test cases to the system so someone else can work it, free the test cases, and so the system can uh, allow other users to use it. Okay, just like the concept of taking the library book and returning it back to the library so other people can borrow it, right? So I'm gonna click on check-in. Okay, so again it is asking me pending check-in. It is giving me all whatever is checked out. Okay, so I will select and I'll click on check-in. Okay, and I can undo also. Okay, so I will check in. Okay, Now it gives me another pop-up. The version number will be increased by 1 for all selected entities. Change comments will be applied to all selected entities. Whatever comment I have, okay, so sometimes people may have comments like you know uh, there might be a bug in the system and they want to write, so something like this, I can write there is no okay, so I may write my comments. Okay, so I'm just giving you example. Okay, so right now whatever comments I make, okay, so I'm just gonna delete this. Okay, and I'll just say sample comments made on this. Okay, and I'll say okay, and I can have keep checked out, like I can continue to have it, continue to keep on working on it while I have also checked it in. Okay, that is another thing which can be done. Okay, so I'm gonna go ahead and click on OK. Okay, now you see my pending check-in list is empty. Okay, because I have checked back in. Okay, and if you see here the two tests which were checked out, now it says 0 tests are checked out by Shaker. Okay, so I will close this. Okay, now let's go to the test lab. Okay, or we can also go to the test run. Okay, now this was the run which we started, we never completed. Okay, so anyways, going back to the test lab, we had clicked on run, so we select the test case. Okay, and we click on run, and in run if you click on the drop down you have three different options. Okay, so we're gonna do manual run. Okay, so manual runner. Okay, so you open this. Okay, now we already saw this, so we'll click on begin run. Okay, now it will not ask me that it has been checked out or checked in, which it was asking earlier, right? Okay, so now you have this parameters of the test. Okay, which was the username. Okay, now I had only shown you to add this, so whatever parameters, whatever you need to do, you can do over here. Okay, so I'll click on OK. Now it is showing me the two steps which I had added, right? So because this is a manual run, okay, what, and I have all these other options also. Okay, so I can over here add steps, delete the steps, pass, fail, and do some other stuff like parameters, attachments, defect, pin, or keep on top. Keep on top means if I press on keep on top, this window will remain on top of any application which I open. If I open IE also, if I pin this, it will be on top. Okay, then compact view, and then all. Okay, block, fail, no run, no completed, and so on. Okay, and then I have end run option. Okay, and then I have the description of the steps and the expected and actual result. Okay, so let's say step 1. What is my step 1? Okay, so I go here. Okay, this is my step 1. My step 1 is what? Open URL. So okay, let's say I go to the browser and then I type the URL. Okay, now this is manual testing. What is manual testing? Doing it manually, right? So I type the URL and site opens. Okay, so going back to my test case. Okay, so over here what I will do is step 1, in the status I will change this as passed. Okay, because I have run this step. Okay, and then I will say okay, so expected result and actual result. Now I hope by now you understand that whenever expected and actual result is same, that means it is a pass. If it is not same, that means it is a fail. Even in case of positive and negative cases, don't get confused. Always remember this golden rule: expected and actual, if they are equal, it means it's a pass. Expected and actual, if they are not equal, it means it's a fail. Okay, And some of you who have done the Gmail login test case example or assignment for practice, you know what I mean. Okay, so um, we have done the first step. Now the second step, what is the second step? We go there. The second step is check the new product section. Okay, the description is there and the expected result is there. Okay, so we go to the new product section. Okay, and we can go there by clicking here, or it's on the side, it's here in the bottom on this site. So there are different ways. Okay, so basically you could write different test cases for all these different three types of ways of going to new products. So you go there, those new products are listed, and we haven't done anything yet, but assume that it has been done. Okay, with the website, the developers had added the new products. Okay, so you go there, you've run it, you click on past. Okay, and pretty much all of this has happened. Okay, so basically new products have been added, so expected and actual is done. Okay, so now we have done that, right? So what we can do now, we have pretty much done the test, it is passed. Okay, and we can now stop running the test case. Okay, so let's click on stop or end run. Okay, see now here status automatically came as passed. Okay, I didn't have to come here and say passed. Okay, now for whatever reason, if sometimes you want to change this, you can. Okay, by clicking the drop down box and change it. Okay, so if I want, I can change it. Okay, right now it's passed. Let's say for some reason I want to change it. Let's say I will say no run for whatever reason. Okay, then the status has changed. Okay, and of course I can manually change it to again back to passed also. Okay, from here. All right, now that's just an option I'm showing you. You ideally do it from the test case itself. Okay, now when you might use it is when you actually run an automation test case, and then you might have some issues or whatever. Okay, all right, now let's just say we run this test case and let's do it again. Okay, and let's say begin run. Okay, parameters. Okay, okay, step 1. Okay, so let's say I don't have to now necessarily go and mark each step manually whenever I'm doing this, these steps in the browser. I don't have to manually go and mark each step. Okay, what I can also do is select them and mark from here also. Okay, it's taking its time, but I marked both of them passed. Okay, I don't know why it disappeared, it should not, but I selected them and marked both of them passed, so I can end the run. Okay, that's one way of doing it. Selecting all the steps, it should have updated here. I think there's some issue. Okay, let's run it again. One more thing to see is when you run it, if it doesn't run and you mark it failed, okay, you can mark it failed and mark it failed, and let's see, you end the run. Okay, see, status will automatically become failed. Okay, again we will run this. Okay, now this time what I want to also show you is not just pass and fail, there are other things which you can do over here. Okay, let's say you forgot some steps, okay, or you have some extra steps or so on. Okay, so you can do that. Okay, and of course this is the pass button, pass all, fail all. Okay, so you can pass all the steps, you can fail all the steps. Okay, or you can individually pass or fail a step. Okay, so pass selected. Okay, or pass again you want to fail that step, fail selected. Okay, so you can manually do that. Okay, now of course expected and actual result. Now not necessarily for every step you should have an expected and actual result. Okay, maybe you only need it for some steps which are important. Okay, now normally and in testing we skip a lot of stuff which are kind of common sense. Okay, for example, when I put the URL and in a browser and open it, of course I know it's going to open. Okay, unless something's really badly wrong with my store or whatever. Okay, so more than likely I will just not have this expected result for this step. I will just have an expected result for this second step. Okay, so it is okay, that is perfectly fine. You don't need for every step an expected and actual result. If you have it, yes, that is good, that is more detailed. But if you have less time and you want to work fast, sometimes it's okay to not have it. Okay, all right. Now other things you can do over here, of course, add attachment. Okay, so attach to step run or attach to run. Okay, we already know there are different types of attachments like file, link, picture, system information, and clipboard. Okay, so you can attach all the different things. Okay, for example, you want to take a snapshot of this, right? So what you will do is you will click on this. Okay, it gives you the option to take a snapshot. Okay, and it gives you these different options. Okay, so we click on selected window or rectangle or entire screen. Okay, so let's say rectangle. Okay, so I click on rectangle and then I get this and I capture this. Okay, I've captured that and it automatically takes me to that tool. Okay, and then I can click on save. I have bunch of different options to edit the capture. Okay, but I can click on save. Okay, because I don't want to do anything, I have captured it correctly. Okay, alright, so see, the snapshot came. Same way you can attach the system snapshot. Sometimes you might need it. Okay, especially when you need to put the system details with the test case. Okay, so system snapshot or system information. Okay, so you have all of this. Okay, so you can click on OK. Okay, and I forgot to tell you, you have to choose which topic you want. So for example, memory usage, you are testing how the memory is responding to your application. Okay, or how the CPU is performing. Okay, or some other stuff, maybe the network or whatever. So let's say the memory, so you will attach current topics or all topics. Okay, so you have to attach and you can also refresh. So let's say only current topic I want, I don't need all of the information, right? So let's just say the memory I need, so current topic. Okay, so there it is attached. Okay, and you can also open it, save as, download, and so on. Okay, so attachments, we've already gone through that. Now in case of a pass test, no issues, right? Now in case of a failed test, and I'll just try to wrap it here with the defects, and maybe we'll do one more session and some other time. So we'll just go over defects really quickly. So let's say in pass, of course, nothing is wrong, right? Everything is good. But what if something fails, right? In your testing, you find out that there is some issue, something is not working, or maybe a requirement is not met, or something like that. So what is it? That is nothing but a defect, right? There's a bug. So now there are different ways you can add a bug. You can add it while you are testing. Okay, you are testing here. Okay, over here you have the option, this pink button kind of thingy. You see over here it says new defect. Okay, unlinked defects. Okay, you have the option to see. So you can click on new defect. Okay, and say you found a bug. So you write in the summary, new products not updated correctly after adding new products. Okay, so give a nice proper description so people who are reading it, because you're not the only person working in a company, right? Other people need to understand, because if there is a bug, who is going to fix it? Developer is going to fix it, right? But if the developer doesn't understand what kind of defect it is, what are you trying to tell them, they will not be able to fix it. So you need to be able to communicate and document things properly, right? So you document this, say new products, whatever, you give a nice summary. Who detected it? Let's say Khalida detected. Okay, let's say okay. When did they detect it? Let's say today. Okay, severity. Now how bad is it? Now it may not be very severe, so we will call it medium. Okay, actual fix time we don't know, the developers will decide. Tester's job is not to decide what is the fix time. Okay, who is it assigned to? Okay, so let's say we have a developer. Okay, someone else is the developer. Let's say Nixon is the developer. Okay, now I'm just giving an example, it could be some other person who is in the system. Okay, so you have to assign it to somebody. Okay, or maybe it might be your QA lead. okay, and then the QA lead will assign it to someone else, okay. So closed, right now it's not closed, okay. Closing date, right now we haven't closed it, okay. When we do close it, we will come back and update this, okay. Detected in which cycle, we will say, okay, this is the release where we found it, okay. And we'll select that, okay. And detected in release, so which release is it, okay. So we click on that, okay. And detected in which version, okay. So we select all the information, okay, and put it in there in the bug, okay. Estimated fixed time, detected in which environment. These things, some of the stuff is not been added because it's a demo, okay. You will have all of this in your company system, and nothing to be worried about that. You will know everything when you start working, okay. So don't get overwhelmed, what is this, what is that, where will I get this from. Don't worry, all of these things will be there in your documentation. Everybody in your team will know which release it is, which version it is, which product it is, who's the developer. So you will have that information with you, so don't worry. You don't have to create it out of magic or thin air. You will be provided that information, you will have access to that. It is just information, okay. So don't worry about it, there's nothing to learn there, okay. So you add all of those things, okay, and then you click on okay. So what is this? This is the new defect, okay. And again, you can add attachments also to a defect, okay. So you add whatever, let's say if there is an error message, okay. Let's say you were testing Gmail, okay. Okay, I'm logged in here. Let me close this. Let me open Chrome. Yeah, ALM takes a lot of the memory, so it slows everything else down. Um, okay, we're waiting for Chrome to load. So let's say you're checking something, okay, and you get an error, right? Let's say, and right now we are just looking at online stuff, okay. In QC and QTP, you can be checking desktop applications also, okay, or mobile applications, or web server, or web services also, okay, or web applications. Okay, we're just waiting for it to load. Okay, hopefully it opens today. Okay, while it loads, anyways, so of course, I hope you know what is a desktop application by now, a web application or a web service, and mobile application, of course, you all probably know. So if you don't know, you can read about it online. Web application is something which runs on the web or in a browser. Web service is a service which is based on the web, okay. It runs through your browser, okay, or some kind of Java or some other kind of API, okay. You could also have desktop application. Anything which runs on your computer locally is a desktop application, okay. You could also have other types of application, by the way, not just these, like n-tier architecture, client server architecture, and so on, okay. So let's say uh, I have some, okay, okay, and I don't know what your email is. I'm just doing this randomly, okay, and I put just some random name and username, okay. So and I click on sign in, okay. So when I'm doing my testing, let's say if I get an error, so what I can do when I'm creating the bug, okay, so let me go to that window, okay. So in the attachments, I can snapshot and add whatever error I'm getting, okay. This is very important as a tester, to document what problem you're facing, what kind of bug or what is it that is actually happening, okay. And you could also attach, likewise, like I said, maybe some other stuff, okay. uh, Whatever is important from the system information, okay. Now I'm not attaching it here. You could also attach the URL, okay. So let's say the problem was with the Gmail URL, okay. So make sure everything which is relevant to the defect, whatever the error and everything is attached to the defect. Okay, so I've basically put the details, I've added the attachments, I have these descriptions from the test case automatically added here. I didn't have to do it because I'm creating this defect from where? From the actual test run. Okay, so I click on OK. Okay, so now a defect has been created. Okay, now if I go here and if I see linked defects, see, I see a defect here now. Okay, all right, let me close this, and it says step 2. Okay, that's where the defect is. Okay, step 1, no defect. All right, okay, now let's close this. Okay, and let's end this run. Always stop and don't close it from the cross, otherwise it will not update. Okay, so see, I got the last run report here also that it failed. Okay, I got all the step details and everything here in the bottom. Okay, in the last run report. Okay, now over here you can see other things: execution flow, automation, whether if you have automated anything. Okay, if you've automated, you can see all the automation related stuff. Attachments, okay, if you have any attachments to it. Then link defects. Now remember, we just created a defect. Okay, so that defect will now be shown in that particular defects module. Okay, and in the history you should also be able to see everything. Okay, so going back to test runs here, sorry. Okay, see, I have run the test run so many times now, right? Now in the test lab we were only running, okay, from here. Okay, so we were doing this test homepage thing. Okay, and we were doing the run test sets. Okay, so we did this, we ran this. All right, and then in the test runs, now we ran it so many times, but over here it doesn't show. Where does it show? In the test runs. Okay, so in the test runs we ran it 5 times. Okay, we had not completed, passed, not completed, failed, and failed. Okay, so that's what happened. Okay, we have some bunch of other options. Okay, we can go to a particular test instance, we can continue running, delete, refresh, and so on. Okay, you can send most of the information you add in QC or ALM, you can always send to someone, okay, via email or something. Okay, all right, now let's go to defects and I'll wrap the session there. So if you see here, that particular defect which we added from the test is now added as defect ID, automatically ID 2, that all the information is there, that defect is there. I can open it from here. Okay, if you see all this information in the bottom, for that particular defect is shown. Okay, for this particular defect all the information is there. Okay, directly from the test case it copied that information, which step you had the problem, the attachments, it will show the attachments. Okay, you can open the attachments if you want. Okay, see it I can see what was the error. Okay, so I can see the URL also. Okay, linked entities, okay, which entities are linked, history, okay, what is the history of that particular bug. Okay, now let's just say if this defect, okay, okay, I have this defect. I can also add more defects. What I have found, if I have not added during the test run, I can add it from here. Okay, new defect. Okay, so same way like how we added requirements, test cases, and everything, you can add defects also. Okay, so you create defect, and I'm just saying sample here. Okay, just to make it quick. Okay, I'm just gonna click on submit, just really quick. Okay, so close, and I have now a new defect. Okay, right now there is no assign, no nothing. Okay, so what I can do is work with this. I can put the information. Okay, I can directly drop down select the drop down over here, and I can assign it to someone else. Okay, let's say maybe I can assign it to Nick. Okay, okay, and so on. All right, now let's say my bug is fixed. Okay, so I will say closing date. Okay, and that's it. Okay, now if you see the history, you can see all the changes which are happening. Okay, and you can choose what you want to see. Okay, who it is assigned to, what is the status. Okay, status new, status closed, status changed, all of those things can be seen over here in the history. Okay, so basically this is what you keep on doing, and basically if you go back and check the links and everything, now here even this requirement we had linked to that particular excuse me, see link defects, we haven't linked any defect. Okay, requirements traceability, test coverage. Okay, we had linked a test, if you remember, we had linked a test to this particular requirement, so we can see it here. I didn't come here in requirements and link this test here, right? We had linked it from where? We had linked it in the test, when we are creating the test. I didn't come and do it in the requirement. So automatically in tools like this, all of this happens. Okay, so I hope you understand how this linking is working. So if I link, let's say, a bug here, okay, let's say I go here, okay, and I take this defect, okay, and linked entities, if I go there, okay, and I can link stuff to each and every defect and everything, to a requirement, to a test case, and so on. So basically every related thing can be linked to each other. All right, so this is kind of in short how a regular day for a QC, QA, tester is with QC or ALM. Okay, this is generally what you are doing on a daily basis. You're writing requirements first. Once you're done with requirements, then you're writing your test plan and your test cases. Then you're doing the test cases. You're running the tests. You're pass or fail, and then you're adding the defects. Okay, and if your defects are fixed, then you do your regression testing, and then once your regression testing is there, you, if it's done, it's passed, you close the defects and so on. Okay, so that's what this is about. Now I will open it. It's 5:36. I think we've been in this class for all pretty much 2 hours, so I will open it to you guys to tell me what questions you have, and if you would like to have access over the weekend to this to practice, and you all can unmute this. Yes, I will try to post this. I am recording this class, so I should be able to post it in the class unless there is an issue with the video. Any other questions? Yeah. No, actually, you don't define the releases. No, no. Yeah, see, basically, okay, you go online, okay, come on. Okay, let me do this in Firefox. Go online, okay, okay, and read what is a software release lifecycle, what is a build, what is a version, okay. So you will understand what these mean, okay. So what is a release? Okay, so read about this. Then what is a software build? Okay, so see every time, yeah, see there are, these are basically ways of establishing different milestones or different level of completion in the project. Okay, version is a different way, like like you may have Windows 7, Windows 8, Windows 10, right? That is version. Okay, then you may have release or build which are within that particular version. Okay, for example, in Windows 7 you may have release 1, release 2, release 3. Okay, or you may have build and so on. If you see a lot of times, for example, any browser also, and if you, sorry, version control is basically the management of these different versions. That's what version control is. You got my point? And yeah, and QC does have version control in it. Yeah. Yes, this is basically version control is there to keep track of projects. It's a management technique because you have different versions. Okay, so you have different management techniques. Okay, so if you don't understand what a release is, what a build is, ideally you should read and version. Okay, so maybe you can search for something like that, and you can read about it. What is the difference between build, release, and version? Okay, the second link I think is probably a better option. So you can go read what the difference is, and you will be able to better understand what is a release, what is a build, what is a version. Okay. Any other questions? If you want, yes, I can give you access on Saturday evening or afternoon, late afternoon. Yeah, I can probably do that. But everybody needs to have a different slot. So, um, yeah, Khalida, I will try to post this video. So everybody will have will need to have a different slot. So what I will want all of you to do is, can all of you, all three of you, if you want to access this, okay? Now I told you what projects you can practice on. Okay, there are four different projects here. Okay. Um, the Mercury Tours, which was the original demo software which used to come with HP. Now they don't give it. But it's available online. Okay. The password for this I can tell you. It's Mercury and Mercury. Okay. Uh, if you want to test the e-commerce, you can do that. That's fine. This site is there. I can put all of this in the email. You can test your Gmail, inbox, sending emails and all that. That's up to you. You can check Orange HRM, like I had said. Okay, that is another place. You can sign up for a free, and you can test anything. Okay, it doesn't have to be these examples. But what I have done is I have already created projects in this repository over here and domains. So I have created these different options for you. Okay, so if when you log in and when I give you the login details, okay, you will have these different domains, and each domain has a different project. Okay, so that way you get an idea of the different projects. So whichever project you want, you can work on. All right. Now, what I would like you three of you to do is to send me your convenient timings so I can accordingly give each of you a different slot. And I would prefer that all of you work on the same project, because in a way then you can kind of collaborate and see what somebody else is also doing, right? So maybe let's say and Nick is a BA, not Nixon. So Nick is a BA, so Nick can come up with the system requirement. Let's say, for example, for the e-commerce side, or for let's say the Mercury Tours demo. Okay, let's say if you're working on the Mercury Tours demo, I have the business document for that. Let's say Nick comes up with the requirements for that, then it will be helpful for everybody else to understand what different types of requirements are. Same way, you all can also come up with requirements, and the other testers can write the test cases, and Nick can also write test cases, and Nixon can also write test cases, and Khalid can also write. So try to work on the same project, but I need different time slots for all of you. You can't all work at the same time because it's only one machine. So I need all of you to send me your your convenient times, and I hope all of you can hear me. So and I think Nick ha was that Nick who was asking me the question, or Nixon was asking me the question? Version control. Okay. Okay. I guess both of you are asking me the same question. Okay. So, anyways, I've kind of answered that question. Any other questions? Any, Nick, Nixon, Khalida, all of you, floor is open. Any last questions before I close? Okay, Khalida is, I'm fine. Okay, perfect. All right, thank you guys. I will try to do one more session if you need on this. Ideally, at this point, I've kind of covered an overall overview of the QC ALM tool. Okay, and we only have very limited time for this tool. I have another 26 days. By Saturday, I'll probably lose 2 or 3 more days. So if you all want to practice, the next few days from Saturday, I can give you all access for a few days in some hours. So we have to schedule. So I need everybody's hours, on weekends, and weekdays I can probably give you in the evenings after 7 o'clock. Okay. So send me your schedules, and I will give everybody your username and password and how to log in. Okay, and I will also send you the links to all the different projects, and I'll post the stuff on the class portal as well. Whatever is needed will be posted in the class portal. Okay, for all of you. Okay, so if there are no other questions, that's it for today's class. Thank you all for attending. I hope you all understood. If you have any questions, please email me. I can try and answer your questions over email. If not, maybe in the next class. And thank you so much. All right.